Hey reviewers, and welcome back to the channel, and I hope you guys have been well. Today I've got the long awaited Suzuki GSX-S1000 to show you. We're going to do a proper walk around and then we're going to take it for a decent ride. Let's get into it. So start with the exhaust then. Yep, it's Euro 5, so you've got dual cats in there now, but actually it's a pretty decent looking system. And if we come around to the back here now, it reminds me of the GSX-R 750 type era, that kind of fairly small cone. It's certainly not a monstrous thing like some of the other manufacturers. And you'll hear in a minute when we go out on the proper ride, it makes a pretty decent sound. But the induction noise from the air unit here, which is now also completely revised, is pretty cool. So let's start with the main things then. The bike comes in at 10,999 plus on the road in the UK. So you're probably looking at a smidge over 11 to get it taxed and then ready and all the rest of it. Which, when you think about it, in the category of naked motorcycles, certainly the litre ones, is massively cheaper than the others. And I think, to be fair, and we'll kind of get into it in a bit more detail, that's pretty much the market that Suzuki are going for here, because it doesn't have a massive TFT, it doesn't have sat-nav, it doesn't have a 6-axis IMU, it doesn't have, I guess, some of the richer toys that others have, like a supercharger, for example. What it does have though is a great package for the road, and I think Suzuki were literally aiming at that it's a great package for the road, because starting with the brakes then on the bike, you've got Brembo monoblocks at the front there, and you've got a radial setup with 310 discs on there, and round at the back you've got 240 disc, and it's a Nissan caliper on the back there. And I've done a really short ride over here, and I can tell you initially they're good, but we're going to do a proper stop test on the ride as well. So they're pretty decent. With regards to wheels and tyres, obviously you've got 17s, but you've got the Dunlop Sport Max Road Smart 2s, I believe they are, and they're pretty decent, to be fair. We're going to get them warm and do a proper test on them, but initial ride over, really decent. Suspension wise, you've got 43mm upside down KYB setup on there. It is fully adjustable, so you can really kind of make it your own there. And again, rear shock there is fully adjustable, so you've got plenty of spec there, plenty of room to kind of make it your own. I know on my bike, because of the sheer weight of me, I need to do some tweaks to it, but it's pretty decent. Right then guys, coming on to the engine, because it's the star of the show for these type of machines. It's 999cc, 150 brake, 106 newton meters of torque, and the bike weighs just 214 kg. Now that's about 6 or so kg than the previous version. However, of course it's been Euro 5'd up, and you've got a brand new lighting cluster on there as well. So let's take a look at the lighting then. Now it is full LED all round, and you've got these kind of hexagonal type robot looking eyes. In fact, styling wise, it's almost like a bit of a, I don't know, stealth bomber, fighter jet type look, and I really like the grey. Now of course you can get it in a blue and you can get it in a black as well, and I think if you get it in the blue, that's the only version that you're going to get the blue wheels on. If you get it in the grey or the black, guess what? Black wheels. Now, ergonomic setup wise then, seat height is 810mm. You'll be able to have some options for it, of course, to make it higher or lower if you need to. You'll see on the screen me getting on the bike. I'm 6'4" and I'm 20 plus stone. So for me, it's obviously a doddle to get on. The bars, now they made these slightly wider, taller, and I believe a little bit further back to you as well. So if we just come around and have a look, what you'll find is actually a really easy setup. So it's kind of pretty much sit up and beg, if you like. It's not sports tourer, it's not like a GS or anything, but it's certainly more relaxed than some of the other super stroke hyper nakeds on the market. Right, screen wise, yeah, like I mentioned, you don't have a massive TFT, so this is a backlit LCD. To be fair, I mean, for £11,000, I think this is where we've got to look at it. For £11,000 for a 999cc 150 horsepower bike, I don't know what more people would expect from it. I mean, they've brought it in at a really, really good price to be competitive and to be that very good and affordable road machine. What you have got in this bike then, rather than thinking about the things that it doesn't have, you've got 5-stage traction control, you've got dual channel ABS on there as well. You don't have the lean sensitive ABS, so cornering braking, cornering traction control. But to be fair guys, I really think, unless you are super pushing this bike beyond its limits, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I really, really don't. You do have traction control, you do have ABS. Just having a quick look at the screen, yeah, you've got all of the normal things that you would want on there. So you've got your speedometer, you've got your tachometer, you've got your gear selector there, you've got which mode of traction control you've got it in. We've got it on 5 there. You do on this bike get 3-way rider modes, so switchable rider modes, A, B and C. I guess you might call them like aggressive, balanced and comfort, if you like. I have tried them out briefly, but we're going to do a proper test on the ride. And you switch those just here. So you're going to hold that for a little second. In fact, I can probably show you. There you go. Can you see it's highlighted here? And then just on this up and down, there's your A mode, tap mode again. And that's your kind of aggressive acceleration alpha mode, if you like. I've heard that it's a bit more aggressive than the B mode, which is more balanced, and a lot of people preferred B. C is basically your rain or reduced power mode and reduced torque mode, and we're going to try that, and I'll show you what it's like on a throttle as well. Wildlife joining in today. What you also get on this bike then, so you've got a 6-speed gearbox, so you've got 1 down, 5 up, and you do have an up and down quick shifter on this model. And again, brief testing, I found it to be really, really good. Now, I don't think Suzuki were going for the kind of track people with this bike, but then again, you can set it up to be what you want. And because of how much cheaper it is than the other machines, you could spend a fair bit on this if you wanted to as well, customize it, mod it up and really make it your own. Now, tank-wise, it's 19 litres, and Suzuki say you should get about 194 out of a full tank. It's about 46 miles per gallon. And they've also completely revised the airbox on here as well. And we're going to take it for a ride in a second, like I mentioned, but it makes a really, really good induction noise. Right, just before we go on the road, I'm going to go through some of the controls with you. So on the left-hand side, you've got your horn, indicators, mode selector, and then you've got your full beam there and your flasher. Of course, you've got your clutch. And then on this side, you've got your kill switch and ignition and your hazard lights and throttle. Now, you have got adjustability here on the brake lever if you need to, and of course, you can adjust the clutch if you need to as well. Like I mentioned, it is a slip and assist clutch on there, 6-speed gearbox, 1 down, 5 up. Right then, gang, I hope you enjoyed that walk around and all of the information. Now let's take this bike for a proper ride, put it through its paces and see what it's like in practice. Let's go. Oh yeah. Check that out. See, that is a proper traditional Suzuki roar. And I love it. Wait till you hear it under power. Let's go, baby! Woo! See, that quick shifter's a beauty, isn't she? She is a beauty. Yeah, nice. Real nice. Right, so we're kicking this off in the A mode, right, guys? So remember, it's 150 brake, 106 Newton meters of torque. Peak power is at 11,000 RPM. Right, now what I want to do before we get into anything too crazy is just show you a bit of difference of the rider modes because it's lower speeds here anyway. So if I hold down the mode button, there's the selector, close the throttle, put it down to C, hit mode again, that's rain mode, okay? And I want to show you the difference. So look at the throttle. That was pretty much all the way open, pretty much. So the difference on that throttle was much less fierce, much less reactive. So watch this, look. Yeah. So I just want to show you that quickly. What I'm going to do now is get it into 30. We've got 30 here. I'm going to take it out of that mode. I'm going to put it into B. Close the throttle, push mode. There you go, we're in. Now obviously I can't go quick through here, but I just want to show you something really quickly. See how much the throttle is, much more on it. So there's much less twist of the wrist needed to kind of get it going. So anyway, lower speeds then, town riding if you like, that kind of thing. What's it like? Well, the riding position and the ergonomics, as you might have seen from some of the cuts anyway, it's quite an upright position. It's definitely not leant over, and some of the litre nakeds, you know, things like the V4S for example, the Tuono, they're definitely a bit more sporty. Even the BMW S1000 R, that is also quite aggressive. That's basically a naked double R anyway, just retuned with the XR engine. Now, this is much more comfortable, it's a bit more upright. So what I would say, yeah, of course you can take it on a track, but if you are probably not so much track focused and you're definitely a lot more road focused, then these kind of ergonomics are going to do you the world of good, I promise you, because there's nothing worse than going out and buying the bike that you like and it's uncomfortable and the riding position is even worse. That will make you big sad, and you don't want to be big sad when you're buying a bike. So of course try them out. But with this is that jack of all trades position, because it's really comfortable. My knees, legs, they're not cramped. But when you want to kind of twist the wrist, put the throttle down, put some rubber down, the bike responds really, really well. So down here in a minute, it's going to open up into a bit faster limits, and then we're going to do some, 60, 70 mile an hour stuff as well, and go through the modes. What I'm also going to do is try out the brakes and other bits as well. So slower section, fueling's really good, put it into seconds. Yeah, just gentle roll on. It's still a little bit snatchier than you might like necessarily, but you'll get used to that kind of thing. Snatchy, is that the right word? I don't know. It's just kind of a bit of a, it's on or off a little bit. But to be fair, in the higher gears, that pretty much disappears anyway. There's fifth. Yeah, see there, it's really smooth actually. So unless you were kind of in that kind of mid-range area anyway of the revs, and then you're kind of powering out, it's going to be really, really smooth for you. I can't wait to let rip a little bit up here and let you hear that induction roar, because I promise you it is really, really, really good. And don't take my word for it. If you've got a dealer near you with a demo to try, jump on it and you will see what I mean, because not every bike has this. I promise you, I get to ride a few obviously, and quite a few, not all, but quite a few modern bikes are quite dumbed down. This is definitely not that. This one, you've got a proper engineered, proper Suzuki, the K5 engine from the legendary GSX-S1000. But yeah, look, check this out, listen. It's so good. The problem is you run out of speed limit before I can listen to it a bit more, look. Now that is a good noise. That is a good noise. Woo! Yeah, it's really nice. Because yeah, a lot of bikes, they're quite dumbed down now, so you don't get a lot of induction roar, and you certainly, on some new bikes, don't get a lot of exhaust note at all, and it's all because of, dumbing down for Euro 5, which I get, look, I understand, but some of the bikes, you kind of take a bit of the fun out of it. So Suzuki here have managed to put together a Euro 5 machine, which still packs a whopping 150 horsepower, 106 newton meters of torque, but it sounds good, and on the initial ride out so far, it's fun. And guys, that is what you've got to think about when you're buying a bike. Is it fun? Is it comfortable? Do you enjoy riding it? Not necessarily, is it the most powerful? Has it got the most horsepower? Does it have a supercharger? Now, I know mine does, I get that, but I've been through a lot of bikes before getting to that point in the stage of what I wanted. So I knew what I wanted from the Z. I wanted that kind of supercharged induction, actually more for more casual riding, weirdly enough, right? Because I didn't want to be screaming the bike all of the time. So with forced induction, it's there and it helps you out. It's just nice and smooth. With this, I think they've got the balance of power just right, because for the roads, let's be honest, there is only so much you need. And this bike, of course, it can probably do, they say like 145-ish plus. I reckon it can easily do probably 150, 160, roads permitting, and obviously speed limit permitting. But for the road, for the everyday rider, especially if this is maybe, your first bigger bike, I think it is all of the power that you need. We'll do some proper acceleration down here because it does open up. And of course, we'll go into more cornering, and then we'll do the braking bits as well. But yeah, even that suspension, I went over that kind of deliberately, but it's just quite forgiving, You get good feedback, I would say, so far. We'll do more proper cornering, but you get good feedback, so you know what the front's doing. We'll test the brakes as well. But just to give you a comparison, I've just bought that ZH2, and the suspension on it, I would probably go as far as to say it's not good for now. It's not good, especially with someone of my weight. Now, I haven't suddenly shed 3 stone. I'm on this bike, and the suspension is really good. It's the rear shock which is the problem on my bike, and this straight away, KYB setup, is spot on. So taller riders, bigger riders, how are you going to get on with this? Yeah, I think you'll get on with it reasonably well. Of course, you've got to try it yourself, but I think you'll get on it just fine. Right, now this bit here is national speed limit. I'm not going to go crazy through the gears, but I will try and give you a bit of acceleration because why not? So really flickable. Right, it tips in beautifully. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's nice. You know. Yeah, it's not as urgent as the ones that have got 200 horsepower, but what you've actually got to ask yourself is, can you be trusted with 200 horsepower? Is it likely to cost you your license? Because with this, you can go through the gears and you're not in really silly figures. You know, it's just a bit of acceleration. You can use it for overtaking pretty nicely. What I'm going to do for the way back there, I'm going to put this into the A mode again. So remember, we hold that mode button down, push up on the selector, close the throttle, dab mode again, we're back in A, nice and easy. In fact, quick shifter, down, down, down. And we'll head back. Now I know it's going to be more urgent on this, I know it's going to be a bit snappier, so I'm keen to see how that kind of works out. Here we go. Yeah, nice. Yeah, not bad at all that. Not bad at all. See, what I've noticed then, in the A mode, at the higher RPM it seems to pull harder. And I know when some of the guys were testing this on the track with Suzuki Day, they probably didn't get the chance to get into the higher speeds as easily. But at higher RPM, in A mode, she pulls harder. So that's one to know. It is a bit more on and off on the throttle, in fact it's quite snappy, and bearing in mind we're in 6th there. But it is your sporty mode, right? That's what you've got to think about. That is your, I'm going out for a proper scratch mode. It is nice. Yeah, it is nice. There are some bikes where the fueling, you know, on these sportier bikes, they're not great. This still manages to have good fueling and good behaviour, good manners. Yeah. And I think, to be fair, for most people it has all of the power that you could want. It really, really does. And the reason I say all the power you could want is because my bike is a perfect example of it. So, what, 197 horsepower supercharged, yeah, that is wicked and I love it for that, I do. However, what you will find is, with that much power on tap and forced induction, it's very rare that you can go through the gears without being at a really silly speed. Whereas with this, you can still go through the gears, you can still get that enjoyment from it, but without going absolutely ballistic. So yeah, spot on. Now, at these speeds then, of course, you don't have a screen there. Now, you can get all kinds of aftermarket mods for these, and Suzuki's classically are one of the best manufacturers for modding anyway. And don't forget, the K5 engine was legendary for modifying as well. And this one, in this iteration if you like, it's been retuned to give you that kind of mid-range. But without a doubt, if you did some tinkering to it, if you did get a full system, and then like a power commander and a proper tune, could you get an extra 20 horsepower out of it or more? Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can. But as I understand it as well, they upgraded the cams on this, the injectors, and a few other bits as well. So although the blueprint for the engine is a bit older, you've actually got a very modern setup in here. Very, very modern. See, that A mode, guys, that is absolutely awesome. So responsive. And that quick shifter, look at how well it works. Yeah, super, super cool. That is a great setup. Admittedly, the A mode, yeah, look, it is a bit more snatchy, but it's sporty, right? That is what you want.
I think the B mode is your everydayer. I think your A mode is your I'm going for it, and your C mode, rain, bedding it in, just want to take a chill one, you know. But it's nice to have the options, and they all work really well, and you can really tell the difference between them. Now look, I'm going to do a bit of a braking test in a minute. And brake. Yeah, okay, so they're pretty decent, to be fair. Bit more of a brake test. And on. Yeah, nice. Now I did feel a tiny bit of ABS kick in then. I'm sure I felt it. But to be fair, it is cold out, and we've not done a huge amount of warming these tyres, but the brakes are good, right? So Brembo monoblock, like I mentioned, 310 disc at the front, 240 rear. For road use, absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. And the tyres on this bike, I mean, yeah, they give you good confidence even when you get on the side as well. Hey chap. So I think if you're interested in a naked bike, and if you don't necessarily have one, 15 to 20,000 pounds, you're not necessarily going to go into full Rossi mode on the track, I think this is a really good contender, and I think it's really a bike that you should try out, because it is very, very easy to get caught up in the it doesn't have the most horsepower stuff, and you know, comparing who's bigger, all that kind of stuff. After years and years of riding, I can tell you that in certain scenarios that stuff matters. Probably for 95% of the time, you want a bike which is comfortable, makes a good noise, brings a smile to your face. Those are the things that are important. And this is no slouch. 150 brake, it is no slouch whatsoever. Like I said, a few mods as well, and you can probably unlock, you know, a good probably 170 maximum horsepower, maybe even more. You tell me, what do you think in the comment section? There's probably loads of people on here that have tuned a K5, and it's similar. It's not the same, but it is similar. Let's change that mode back just quickly. Right. Into another gear, shall we, before we do that? Hold down modes. Let's just select B, mode again, done. I think actually I agree with some of the other reviewers on it. I think for road riding, for the most part, I prefer the B modes. And don't forget, of course, if it's, you know, you're picking up your bike and you're not confident yet necessarily, or it's wet weather, you've got that C mode, which is so forgiving, and it's going to work with the ABS, it's going to work with the 5-stage traction control that you've got on this bike as well. It's going to work with your Brembo setup and all the rest of it, and just help you to build that confidence until you really feel at home on the bike. Because of course, when you buy a new bike, you need to kind of bed in the components anyway. You need to scrub in your tyres a little bit. It's not the same as the old days, I know that, if anyone goes nuts on the comment section, but you are still going to have to kind of bed in that bike. So C mode, if it is your first bigger bike, then yeah, it's not a bad shout, because some people do go straight from A1 to go and get a massive bike. Many people have done that. I had a 600 for a little while, or a 650 as it was, a Daytona, and then went to an R1. And I'm still here, just about. So yeah, I can't tell you what it's like on a test track, guys, but I can tell you for road riding and for slower speeds and for 40-mile-an-hour zones and all the way into the normal national speed limits as well, this bike performs really, really well. But it does it with ease, okay? It does it in comfort. And comfort is a big thing, right? It does it in comfort. And the ergonomics are just great, you know, I can see everything. Yes, I don't have a massive TFT, but I can see everything there clear as day. I can. But yeah, you've got a raft of stuff on this bike, right? So you've got obviously your traction control, you've got your dual channel ABS, you've got your quick shifter as well, you've got your Suzuki intelligent riding system, so you've got your switchable rider modes as well. It is a great package, and I think for a 999cc 150 brake naked machine, which I think looks pretty awesome, and they do look really, really good in the flesh, you could be saving, you know, on average 4, 5, maybe even 6 grand compared to the super stroke hyper naked machines out there. You know, the Tuonos, the Ducati V4Ss, the ZH2s. there's a whole host of them, you know, even the Super Duke, for example. You could save thousands of pounds, which could, one, pay for your insurance, two, pay for a whole raft of modifications for the bike if you wanted to as well. You know, three, loads of new gear for yourself as well. And you get a 3-year warranty on these as well, right? So, you know, if you were doing like a purchase package or something like that, you could probably get these for so low per month, get all that kind of gear as well. Just food for thought, right? You know, each to their own. It really is each to their own. But from my time on the bike, I think it is a really good performer. I think Suzuki are going to do very well with this. And, you know, they've done the right level of updates. It's not like a revolution as such. It is an evolution of the old machine. You know, we don't have a massive screen and all the rest of it, but we do have a newer screen. We do have updated components. We have got a nice braking setup. We have got traction control. We've got switchable rider modes. So like I mentioned, you've got a lot of the things that you're going to need. A lot of the other stuff, having had a bike with loads of toys on it, is just noise. It is just reasons that you convince yourself you need to buy a particular bike when quite often you will not use them. What you want is this. You want a soundtrack that makes you giggle. You want an engine that's responsive. You want a riding position that works for you. You want a gearbox which also is responsive and works well. And I have to say, Suzuki have ticked all the boxes for me. So to summarise then, guys, £11,000, £4,000 to £5,000 cheaper than its rivals, 150 brake, big smiles, big comfort, great ergonomics, great soundtrack, does really, really well. So it might not be the most powerful, it might not have the most amount of gadgets, but the GSX-S1000 is really won a place in my heart. I think this, for most people, is going to give you big smiles, big enjoyment, a great user experience. And I really actually do quite like the styling. I must admit, from the pictures and stuff initially, I wasn't a massive fan. But now, having seen it and ridden the bike and been on it, I think Suzuki are onto a real winner here. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Of course, you've got 3 colours to choose from. You've got the grey, the black and the blue. Like I mentioned, I really like the grey actually. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section which one stands out for you. And that's it, guys. That brings us to the end of this one. Up in front of you is a link to a cool video. Have a click on it. Maybe you'll like it. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, have fun, and I'll see you on the next one.